Hey, welcome to the channel. If you like stories where humanity refuses to kneel, subscribe and stay with us. Let's begin. In the void between stars, where empires carve their names into nebulae with plasma and pride, a single human world burned. They called us vermin, primitives clutching fire while gods wielded suns, but gods had never met a species that weaponized refusal. The sky over Terra Nova cracked open like an egg under a hammer. Vortathian dreadnoughts, cathedrals of obsidian, and annihilation, hung in low orbit, their shadows swallowing continents. From the bridge of the Eternal Edict, Lord Commander Verzul watched the feed. His mandibles clicked in amusement. "Observe," he purred to his subjugates, voice silk over razors. The mammals scurry. They build walls of dirt and hope. Adorable. Below, in the ash-choked ruins of Bastion City, Captain Elias Kane knelt in the rubble of what had been a school. His gloved fingers traced a child's drawing half buried in soot, stick figures holding hands beneath a yellow sun. He didn't cry. He catalogued 3 magazines left, 1 broken radio, 47 civilians in the subway tunnel, and the Vortathians were coming with gravity lances that turned bone to glass. Kane stood, the scar across his throat, earned on Europa's ice when he was 19, pulled tight as he spoke into the static. "Ghost actual to any human frequency. We are not dead yet. Repeat, not dead," static answered. Then a voice, thin, female, alien. "Kane, this is Sub-Matriarch Talia of the Kesh Alliance. Your signal is irregular. Why do you broadcast surrender codes in Vortathian?" He smiled without humor. "Because they're listening." On the edict, alarms flared. Verzul leaned forward. The human was using their own encryption to seed false retreat vectors. Entire legions were redeploying to empty grid squares. "Primitive," the Lord Commander sneered. "But clever rats still die in traps." Kane moved through the tunnels like a rumor. His squad, 12 souls left from 200, followed because the alternative was surrender, and surrender meant cages. He'd seen the cages. They surfaced in the skeletal remains of the financial district. Vortathian shock troopers, 8 feet of chitin and contempt, patrolled in perfect formation. Their translator drones hovered, broadcasting in 127 languages. "Lay down arms. Mercy is efficient." Kane's second, Lieutenant Park, whispered. "They're herding the civilians toward the docks. Conversion camps." Kane's eyes were flat. Then we unheard them. He didn't give a speech, didn't need to. They struck at dusk, improvised charges, fertilizer, diesel, prayers, detonated beneath the troop carriers, shrapnel sang. Vortathian blood steamed violet in the cold. Kane moved through the chaos like a scalpel. Knife, rifle, fists. A Vortathian officer towered over him, energy pike humming. "You fight for corpses," it hissed. "Your species ends tonight." Kane drove a broken rebar through its thorax. "We're just getting started." Above, Verzul watched the feeds flicker. One human, one disrupting supply lines, hijacking drones, turning execution squares into kill zones. The Lord Commander's claws dug into his throne. "Deploy the Reapers." In the tunnels, Talia's voice returned, urgent. "Kane, the Kesh Council votes neutrality. We cannot intervene. But I—" A pause. "I sent you something. Look east." Kane stepped into the night. The horizon lit up, not with Vortathian lances but with Kesh drop pods, allied unauthorized. Park stared. "Is she betraying her own people?" Kane watched the pods burn trails across the sky. "No," he said quietly. "She's choosing a side." The first pod cracked open. Not soldiers. Weapons, human weapons, old Earth designs, slug throwers, frag grenades, things the Vortathians had banned as barbaric. Kane lifted a rifle older than his grandfather. The weight felt like ancestry. Then the ground trembled. Reapers. Not drones. Not troops. Living siege engines. Biomechanical horrors grown in Vortathian gene vats. Tentacles of smart metal. Mouths that screamed in frequencies that drove men mad. One crashed through the skyline, its shadow swallowing the resistance. Kane racked the rifle. Fall back to the river. Park grabbed his arm. That's a kill box. Kane met her eyes. Exactly. They ran. Behind them, the Reaper's scream split minds like axes. But in the static of Kane's broken radio, a new signal pulsed. Coordinates, a Vortathian weak point, and a single word in Kesh. Trust. Kane looked at the rifle, at the burning city, at the child's drawing still clutched in his fist. He smiled. The river waited, and beneath its black water something ancient stirred. The river was a graveyard of ships. Human frigates, gutted, skeletal, drifted in the current like drowned gods. Kane's people moved along the bank in silence. No lights, no chatter, just the sound of boots in mute and the wet click of magazines sliding home. Talia met them in the shell of a hydro plant. Her scales shimmered oil slick under emergency lamps. Kesh eyes, vertical slits, studied Kane with something between fear and fascination. You came, he said. I disobeyed, she replied. My matriarch will flay me if the Vortathians don't first. Park leveled her rifle. How do we know this isn't a trap? Talia didn't flinch. Because I brought you the key to their shield grid. And because, she hesitated, I watched your species burn for 3 cycles. You should have broken. You didn't. Kane took the data shard. His fingers brushed hers. Cold blood, warm metal. The Reapers are tracking us, he said. They'll be here in 6 minutes. Talia's tail flicked. Then we have 5 to change the war. They moved deeper into the plant. Rusted turbines loomed like cathedral ribs. In the control room, Talia interfaced with the shard. Holograms bloomed. Vortathian orbital defenses. Shield. Harmonics a single vulnerability. The moon relay at Lagrange point 5. Take it down, she said. And their fleet loses cohesion for 12 minutes. Park snorted. 12 minutes to do what? Die prettier? Kane was already moving. 12 minutes to board the edict. Silence. Then laughter. Dry, cracked, human. Talia stared. You're serious? Kane didn't answer. He was studying the relay schematics like a man reading his own death warrant and liking the terms. Outside, the Reapers hit the perimeter. The first one tore through the wall. Tentacles whipping, mouth screaming in frequencies that made teeth bleed. Kane's squad opened fire. Slugs sparked off carapace. Grenades blossomed. A soldier, Ramirez, went down with a tentacle through the chest. He kept shooting until the light left his eyes. Kane dragged Talia behind a console. Upload the virus. Now, she hesitated. If I do this, the Kesh will be complicit. My people... Your people watched us burn. Kane cut in. Now they get to choose, ash or allies. Her fingers flew across the interface. The Reapers closed in. One latched onto Park, metal jaws clamping her leg. She screamed, jammed her sidearm into its maw, pulled the trigger until it clicked empty. Kane tackled the beast. Knife in the eye. Again. Again. The upload hit 87%. Park's voice. Weak. Leave me. Kane didn't. He slung her over his shoulder, blood soaking his armor. 90%. The Reaper convulsed. Talia's virus was spreading, not just to the relay, but to the Reapers themselves. 5%. The beast screamed, a sound like worlds ending, then collapsed, tentacles twitching. 100%. The lights died. For one heartbeat, the galaxy held its breath. Then the sky ignited. Vortathian shields flickered, then failed. On the edict, Verzul roared as consoles exploded. Report. Shields down, my lord. Human boarding torpedoes inbound. The Lord Commander's mandibles froze. Impossible. They have no ships, but they did. From the river, from the wrecks, from the bones of their own dead. Human torpedoes rose, not sleek, not elegant, just angry. Kane stood on the hull of a gutted frigate, mag boots locked, rifle raised, Talia beside him, scales pale with terror. Park! Leg tourniqueted, grinned through blood. Told you the river was a kill box. The torpedoes streaked upward. Verzul watched them come. For the first time, his voice cracked. Target the primitives. All batteries. Too late. The first torpedo breached the hangar. Kane was inside, but as the bulkhead sealed behind him, a Vortathian psi-lance flared, and Talia's eyes went wide. Kane, she whispered. The virus, it wasn't just for the shields. He turned. She held up the shard, now glowing red. It's a beacon for something older than the Vortathians, something they woke. The deck trembled, not from impact, from below. The edict's corridors were veins of black glass and screaming alarms. Kane moved like a ghost, rifle low, eyes scanning. Behind him, Talia limped, Park supported on her shoulder. They passed Vortathian corpses. Some shot some. Wrong, melted from within. The beacon, Talia rasped. It's calling the Devourers, ancient bioweapons. The Vortathians thought they controlled them. Kane didn't stop. Then we used them. Park laughed, a wet, broken sound. You're insane. Sanity surrendered 3 days ago. They reached the core, a cathedral of pulsing light. The ship's AI, a crystalline entity, hung suspended in energy webs. Verzul waited, flanked by elite guard. His armor was cracked, one mandible hung loose. You, he hissed. Should be Ash. Kane raised his rifle. Disappointed? The guards advanced. Talia stepped forward. My lord, she said in Vortathian, voice trembling but clear. The Devourers come. End this, join us. Verzul laughed, a sound like breaking bells. Join vermin? Never. He raised a claw. The core flared, but not with Vortathian power, with something else. The Devourer arrived, not through doors, through walls. Through reality. A shape of absence, limbs of folded space, eyes like dying stars. It looked at Verzul, and spoke with Talia's voice. You woke us, the Lord Commander screamed. His guards fired. Weapons melted. Flesh followed. Kane grabbed Talia. Shut it down! I can't, she cried. It's bonded to the ship's core. Park slumped against the wall. Then we take the core with us. Kane looked at her. She was already rigging the last of the Kesh explosives. Go, she said. Finish it. He hesitated. She smiled. Someone has to hold the line. Captain, you taught us that. Kane's jaw clenched. He turned to Talia. Can you fly this thing? She nodded. Then aim it at the relay. Full burn. Verzul crawled toward them. Half his face gone. You cannot win. Kane knelt. We already did. He stood. The Devourer lunged. Kane fired. Not at it, but at the core's restraints. The crystal shattered. Energy. Howled. Talia dragged him into the escape pod. Park stayed. The last thing Kane saw was her saluting as the edict turned toward the moon. The pod jettisoned. Behind them, the dreadnought became a sun. The relay exploded. Vortathian shields collapsed across the system. On Terra Nova, the skies cleared for the first time in weeks. Kane watched the fireball bloom. Talia's voice was small. She's gone. No, Kane said. She's everywhere now. He looked out at the stars. The war wasn't over, but the galaxy had just learned a new word. human. And in the silence between heartbeats, something answered, not the devourer, something older, watching, waiting. The pod drifted. Kane closed his eyes and smiled, because the last stand had only just begun. Thanks for watching.